Okay, so today we're diving into this whole silver tsunami thing that Steph Smith talks about. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing to think like we're all going to be living way longer than we thought we were, you know?
Right.
Like 100 used to seem like ancient, and now it's like almost normal.
Yeah. It's a huge, just like a seismic shift,
Yeah.
really. If you look back to the UK in 1965, the most common age of death was 1 year old.
Wow.
Today,
Mhm.
it's 87.
Wow.
That's not just people living a bit longer. That's like a total transformation of the human lifespan.
Yeah, that's wild. And it makes you think like, are we prepared for this? Like
Yeah.
I catch myself like planning my finances and it's like, okay, so do I aim for 75 or like 105? You know, it's
Yeah.
exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like
Mm.
our systems are kind of built on this like old model of aging,
Totally.
particularly in the US. Like the average retirement plan is based on lifespans from decades ago.
Right.
And, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, which is healthcare.
Yeah.
The fact that the U.S. spends 3 times more on kidney dialysis than on NASA
Oh my gosh.
is just like a kind of a stark illustration of like where our priorities are and how unprepared we are for this like massive increase in the aging population.
Yeah, it makes you think like, are we just pouring money into managing the effects of aging rather than actually like understanding it and promoting healthier lifespans? Like,
Yeah,
it's not just a financial issue, it's a societal one, you know?
totally. Yeah, for sure.
So this silver tsunami, it's like shaking up healthcare, but what about business, you know?
Well,
Where are the opportunities in all this? Like Steph Smith points out some really interesting ones
yeah.
that you might not expect.
Yeah, one area that I think is like really interesting and often overlooked is menopause.
Oh, yeah.
It's this huge life stage that impacts millions of women, but it's often like
Totally.
kind of shrouded in silence and misunderstanding.
Yeah, it's true. Like we're bombarded with apps for like periods and pregnancy and fertility tracking, but where's like the flow for menopause? You know, it's like this huge market with a
Yeah.
real need for support and innovation and
Absolutely, like 6,000 women
yeah.
in the U.S. enter menopause every single day.
Wow,
It's a staggering number.
that's crazy.
And think about it, like it's essentially a second puberty,
Yeah.
right? Like it has its own set of like physical and emotional changes,
Right.
but it's treated as something to be endured rather than like a natural transition that like deserves attention and support. And
And there's like a serious lack of like female entrepreneurs over 50
oh yeah, for
who
sure.
can bring their lived experience to the table. Like
Totally.
imagine the possibilities if we had more women in that age group, like driving innovation and creating solutions.
100%. And it speaks to this like broader issue of like,
Yeah.
we often overlook the economic and entrepreneurial potential of like older generations.
Totally.
And I think like a really fascinating case study here is Japan.
Yeah. Japan's interesting.
And they're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to this silver tsunami.
They are.
And they're facing some really unique challenges.
Yeah, they've got that huge demand for elder care. Like nursing home wait lists are like
It's exploding.
through the roof.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, they're like practically giving away houses in some areas.
I know, it's
Wow,
wild.
you know those abandoned homes, the IKEAs.
Yeah, it's really a complex issue. It's like demographics, economics, cultural factors.
Totally.
But it just highlights the need for like
Yeah.
creative solutions.
Yeah.
We need to rethink like housing community development, how we care for our aging population.
And that brings us back to business opportunities.
Right.
Like Steph Smith mentioned the boom in assisted living in the U.S.,
Yeah,
with some facilities seeing annual returns of over 20%,
it's huge.
which is crazy, but
But it's
yeah,
huge,
catch
right?
me.
Like the current model of assisted living, I think often prioritizes profit over like genuine care and quality of life.
Yeah.
A lot of these facilities are overcrowded, understaffed, and frankly not very appealing places to live.
Not where you imagine
Right.
putting your parents or grandparents
Exactly.
or yourself, for that matter.
Exactly. And it's like, it makes you wonder, like, what if we could create a different kind of assisted living experience?
Right.
What if we treated aging not as like a decline,
Yeah.
but as like a continuation of life?
Yeah.
With its own set of opportunities for growth and connection and fulfillment.
Totally.
Like imagine assisted living facilities that felt more like vibrant communities
Right.
with engaging activities and
Yeah.
delicious food and personalized care.
Yeah, like creating the 4 seasons of assisted living.
Exactly.
That's an area that feels like
Totally.
ripe for disruption.
Huge opportunity.
So we've been talking about like living longer, but what about living better? Like, Steph brought up this whole concept of the centenarian decathlon,
Yeah.
which is wild. Like,
It's
can you
crazy.
imagine being a competitive athlete at 100?
It's mind-blowing. It really challenges our assumptions about what's possible as we age. Like, we tend to think of aging as this, like, inevitable decline. But then you see these examples like Robert Marchand, the cyclist,
Right.
who was still breaking records at 105.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's inspiring, but also kind of intimidating.
Right.
Like, most of us are like, I don't know, can I squeeze in a 30-minute workout today?
Right.
Let alone train for like a decathlon at 100.
Exactly. And that's where I think Steph's challenge comes in.
Okay.
Which is, what if instead of focusing on these like extreme fitness trends, we focused on like simple, sustainable habits?
Right.
You know, she talked about the power of just walking 3 miles a day.
Yeah.
And it's not about being an elite athlete. It's just about like moving our bodies and staying active.
Yeah, I love that idea. Like, it's approachable, and it kind of underscores that connection between even moderate exercise and longevity.
Okay.
But how do we make those healthy habits stick? You know, it seems like there's always a new fitness craze,
Yeah.
but then most of us like struggle with the consistency part.
Yeah. Maybe we need to think about like gamifying health.
Oh, interesting.
The way that we've gamified fitness, you know, we track our steps, we track our runs, our sleep.
Totally.
What if we brought that same approach to other aspects of our well-being?
Like a Strava for blood sugar.
Exactly.
I actually heard about someone doing like a blood sugar challenge with their friends,
Really?
and they said it was surprisingly motivating.
That's interesting. Yeah, because with these CGMs now, with the continuous glucose monitors,
Yeah, they're everywhere.
they're everywhere. Dexcom has an over-the-counter model now.
Wow.
Imagine a world where you and your friends are like competing to stay within a healthy blood sugar range.
That's cool.
And you're cheering each other on and sharing tips. It could like totally change how we approach metabolic health.
Yeah, it's like turning healthy habits into a social activity,
Exactly.
which can be very powerful.
It's huge.
And speaking of social trends, like, what about that glucose goddess influencer you mentioned?
Oh, yeah. She's amazing.
She's like built a whole brand around blood sugar.
I know. And she's not alone.
Mm.
We're seeing all these like niche fitness communities popping up, like pickleball leagues, obviously.
Pickleball's huge.
Everesting challenges where people repeatedly climb the equivalent of Mount Everest.
Oh my gosh, that's intense.
It's wild.
It seems like these trends, they either make a sport more accessible,
Right.
like pickleball did with tennis, or they take it to like the total extreme,
Totally.
like Everesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think with these longer lifespans, we're going to see even more creative ways to kind of redefine what's possible at any age.
Yeah, like maybe 100 really will be the new 60.
Exactly. Like, that's a future I can get behind.
Me too.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking for business opportunities, health innovations, or just a reason to like rethink your whole approach to aging, this Silver Tsunami is definitely something to watch.
100%.
Well, this was fascinating. Thanks for diving in with us.